What are a few things that could be done? I mean, to make programs more scientific in their approach?
Well, the one thing that, that I talk about all the time and is that companies would work very, very hard to remove leading constructs from their surveys, right? So a leading construct is one that directs the customer toward an answer you want to hear. So how satisfied were you with XYZ? Well, that assumes the customer was somewhat satisfied, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a problem. NPS, I would argue, has bias. Like, how likely are you to recommend it? It does assume the customer is somewhat likely to recommend.
Right,
Um,
right.
but in any event, and yet again, we use NPS because it's a good benchmarking question when it's used properly. So there'd really be a team approach to scour surveys for anything that's leading customers toward what you want to hear. Customers have priorities. In other words, it's not all equal. And the goal of any customer experience program and surveys in particular is to really come up with an accurate measurement of customer experience. So if every question is of equal importance, then you're not really capturing the nature of the customer experience,
Yeah.
right? If some things are more important than others, you have to include that weighting factor. So that weighting factor can be based on asking customers to rate, like, what is most important in this experience, and then using that as the weighting factor. Or we sometimes use correlation analysis to determine a weighting factor. But that's a really important aspect of survey design and survey calculations. And then I would edit surveys for, just the bundle of usability flaws that lead to gibberish data. So, that's all there, now you've got me on really a topic that I could go on for hours. But, examples are like double barreled questions. That's where you ask two things at the same time. So, was your server efficient and courteous?
Mm.
Well, what, what are you asking?
What
So
if
then,
there were only one of them? Yeah.
right. So, and often those are at odds with each other.
Right.
So you get information, but it's gibberish information. So that, the customer is just like, I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
Or insufficient answer options. I think about this all the time because I'm a huge Amazon user. It's just the easiest way in the world to buy stuff. But then because I'm a huge Amazon user, I'm a huge Amazon returner.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so the list of options is it doesn't include why it is. It's like, I didn't like it. They don't include that. It's like the website description was wrong. I almost always pick that. Like, okay, I guess the website description was wrong. That's the closest thing to I didn't like it. But whenever there are insufficient answer options, you're going to get gibberish information, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or one of my favorites is not allowing for anonymity. Because if you don't allow for the option for anonymity, you're going to omit a whole group of respondents. That can be as many as 40% of respondents. Just, if you're going to name me, which, now that seems like now you're going to hassle me if I give you a low score,
Right.
I'm not going to take your survey. But their data is as important as those who name themselves. I'd say possibly more important. Well, one that we already talked about is using NPS when it just doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
when the rating scales are off or there's no zero. So we see this in reviews all the time where customers will write, well, the choice was 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, up to 5 stars. Really, if you'd given me 0 stars, that's what I would have given. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
zero is, I mean, one assumes that you're somewhat satisfied in a sense, right? So
Right.
really the better scale is 0 to 10 or
Yeah.
I would say internal language. We see gibberish from that all the time. Like when we review customers' surveys and they ask, well, what do you see? Do you think this is ready to go? And because we do free audits of surveys,
Yeah.
and we'll say, like, you know what, you're in a good place. You don't really need us. And we're happy to say that. Or, well, actually, this is not very scientific. Here's some things you want to consider. So, in any event, when companies submit their surveys, we'll often see all this kind of internal language
Mm.
questions about design, white space balancing, things that you can't expect customers to know. So they'll
Right.
just kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So those are some examples of ways that companies are collecting data, but not all data is good data. So it's sort of gibberish data. And I just, you just hope they're not making business decisions based on that.